Now from Hollywood, California, the horror capital of the world, the Boulet Brothers, creatures of the night.
Welcome to the Tome, my delicious little creatures of the night. As always, we will be your ghost hosts for tonight's episode, the Queens of Darkness, Dracmorda
and Swanthula.
And in a short time, we will be joined by our recently crowned drag supermonster and the star of the Boulet Brothers Dragula season 666, Asia Consent, who will be asking about her journey to the top. But first, Swan, now that you are trapped here behind a mic, it's time to talk about UFOs.
Oh my God, I can't. I said this earlier that you were not going to do this.
Oh, you asked if I was going to ask Asia about UFOs. You did not ask if I was going to ask you about UFOs.
Like a twisted genie. If I don't structure the question just right, you never know.
Well, and that's why I was giggling, and I was like, "You'll find out." But just to catch up the audience on what I'm talking about.
Well, before you go there, I just want to say this. Despite the fact that there's the potential for war breaking out across the world, Donald Trump is poised to become the president again, and we're potentially on the cusp of an alien invasion. I'm feeling pretty good about this Christmas season.
Okay, good. So let me dig into this so that the audience knows what I'm talking about. So I assume everybody at home has seen this, but if you haven't, there are unidentified aerial phenomenon showing up in a bunch of different cities. So it's showing up in New Jersey, New York City, Philadelphia. There's been some in Washington, D.C. They're starting to see some in Texas and California as well. And apparently, the government said they do not know what they are. So they look like UFOs or spaceships. They're just hovering there above these towns. They don't emit a heat signature, and they have the ability to disappear or cloak when approached. So, Swan, my question for you and our listeners at home, actually, what are they?
They obviously are extra-dimensional probes from the creatures that live under the sea. Duh.
Do you not look, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't understand why everybody isn't more involved or panicking about this. Why do you think that is? Because to me, it's a big deal. Like, they're here. Your literal government is telling you up to the presidency that they do not know what they are. So why are people not more scared?
Look, I don't know 100% the answer one way or the other, but I do have a guess, and I can say this. Like, think about the story of, like, the boy who cried wolf. If there's always something going on, if there's always something to scream about and be threatened by and be outraged by, after a while, nothing penetrates. It just doesn't matter. And I think that as a country, as, like, you know, socially, kind of globally, we've all been under this bombardment starting maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. And with the rise of the way that social media has become like this echo chamber bubble, everybody just gets like overrun by information and outrage and fear. So when something like this happens, which I agree with you, it should be crazy, right? We should all be, you know, holding people accountable to find out and let the public know what this is, because it's scary, but no one cares.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, I'm seeing major news outlets and some of the anchors on those programs angrily confronting officials who are almost sarcastic in their response to it. I'm going to say, I think it's one of two things. One is more outlandish than the other. My first thought is that they are drones from our government, right? Like top secret sort of drones that are looking for a nuclear bomb. Like that potentially one of these adversaries we have, they know have snuck a nuclear weapon within our country, and they are looking for it. And they don't want to tell the public because it would freak them out.
Yeah.
That's one option. Now, my more outlandish option is these things are either from the future or another dimension, and they know that we are about to get in World War III and destroy the Earth with our nuclear weapons, and they're here to stop it.
Which is fierce, right? If that was the case, then we're in good hands. I can see that you've been to 4chan, perhaps QAnon websites.
Absolutely not. I've never been to any of those.
Oh my God, this sounds like so conspiracy theorist 101.
Well, I have never been to any of those websites, and I thought that up on my own. So there.
Okay. Oh, now the nuclear one potentially having a bomb or something to be detectable in a city in the US. That's actually interesting. I hadn't thought about that angle before.
I mean, it doesn't make sense why they're showing up in different cities unless they have like intelligence that says there's like 5 or 6 potential places the person could be. But I don't know.
I don't either. And you know, they're also overseas. Like I think the UK had like a lot of sightings as well, revolving around their military bases or US military bases on UK soil.
Right.
Who knows what it could mean?
I mean, they could have been testing them. That's possible too, right? Like if they are over our military bases, you may think, well, they're probably from our military. That's one way to think of it. So my final question for you is, and I'm very serious, do you think there will be like some sort of, I don't know if I want to call it an alien invasion or an alien making its presence known in an undeniable way within the next few months?
I thought you were going to say like within the next year. Can we rephrase it to say the next year? Because my answer would change.
Okay, the next year.
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. Some kind of disclosure, some type of exposure, the public knowing that, oh, okay, wow, this really kind of changes the way we look at things and maybe the hierarchy of things. I don't know. I've read things in the past, William Gibson and other writers who project into the future, and it's the threat of that other world, we can call it alien, we can call it extra dimensional thing, that could potentially be the only thing that could unify humanity over boundaries of like nationality and religion. If it becomes we're all it's us against them kind of thing, then that could potentially unite us. Who knows?
Well, there's a lot of people that think there's this conspiracy theory, the Blue Book, Project Blue Book, where I guess the elites of the world would mastermind a way to make it seem like there's an alien invasion worldwide to unite everybody under one government and one person's control, which who knows, it could happen, I guess. Anyways, I said it was my last question, but it's not. I have one more question.
You're a liar. That's fine. Go on.
I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And if you're going to say to me, you're a liar, then I'm going to look at you and say, you stole my goddamn house. You're such a fucking liar,
Camille.
Camille's coming back on this episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills too, by the way.
Oh, that's exciting.
And Dorit calls her a a word that I can't say on the podcast.
Oh, that's right. Shit, we can't say that. The see you next Tuesday word.
How odd, right? Like, I don't know why. Yeah. Anyways. Okay. So my last question for you is, are we skipping the next 2 episodes for the holidays? Because we were supposed to start the season 1 recaps, but if we did that, it would come out on Christmas Eve. Or if you celebrate Yule, it's the 5th day, which is a celebration of holly and reindeer. We could do holiday episodes. I don't know. What do you think?
I say, if I had to vote, I would say we continue on the weekly schedule.
Right. But should the content be do you want to be reviewing season 1 on Christmas Eve?
Yes. Yes, I do. Here's a big giant present to the fan base because we haven't talked about or reflected on those earlier seasons in forever. I didn't think we would ever do it, really. So I don't know. I mean, what are we going to do? Have like a Christmas episode or like a holiday special?
A Yule /holiday /Christmas, if that's what you believe in. Yeah, I don't know. I love those holiday episodes. Like when we used to do clubs back in the day, I loved the Christmas party. It was so fun. And similarly, with Halloween, I really like the traditional stuff. I pictured myself sitting in my office under candlelight with some treats around, sort of reading a haunted Yule story to our children listeners at home, but I guess that's not going to happen, and I'm instead going to have to talk about Frankie Doom and Loris.
I don't know. What do you think?
I guess we'll talk about it. Fans, I thought I could get you an answer today, but I can't. Nevertheless, an episode will come out next week, but who knows what the content will be. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will be joined by the world's next drag super monster, Asia Consent.
Welcome back, Uglies, and welcome Asia Consent to the Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night.
Oh my goodness. Hello. It is me for all of your eardrums to hear. Yes, it is me.
So has it settled in yet that you've won?
Honestly, no, it still hasn't. Like, I still can't even believe I got on Dragula, let alone won the whole damn thing. It is so crazy. But I love it, though. It's amazing.
I gotta imagine it feels a little bit like a dream at first, and you're like, am I gonna wake up from this, or did I really win?
Right.
Or am I just in an extermination and I forgot?
Literally. I'm like, this is the longest running joke anyone has ever played on me, literally. I'm waiting for y'all to be like, just kidding.
Well, you won fair and square, and we're very proud of you. I think you did a fantastic job this season, and obviously the fans do too. But so let's start with your crowning, and then we'll go all the way back through your journey with Dragula 666. So how did it feel to finally win this competition that you've been trying out for so long?
Oh my goodness. It's just completely surreal because like all the years that I put into like actually trying to get on Dragula, finally getting on it, and then the work to, actually like being there and everything. It's like it's so much to put into it, but it just is so reassuring. And just honestly, like even as a person, not just a drag artist, but the whole experience was very like reassuring. I'm like, wow, I actually like get rewarded for being myself instead of like trying to be someone else. So it's been extremely validating and like the best experience of my life. So lovely. I love Dragula.
Love to hear that.
Me too. So how many times did you try out for the show?
Yes, well, people think I started with season 3 because that was the one I was rumored about, but I didn't start applying until 4. So I did apply for 4, 5, and 6.
Now, which was the one where someone in your camp pulled that shit where you went off social media and it looked like you were potentially cast and everybody thought you were and then you weren't? So I didn't quite know how to feel about it, but I did notice it.
Yeah, that was season 3. I didn't even apply for that one. I think it's just because Dragula World that year was like Dragula World 2018. I was one of the like finalist people, I guess, for that. I was like top 4 or whatever. But yeah, I was in that too. So the people on Reddit, they noticed me because of that Dragula World pageant around DragCon time. Yeah, and then it was like me, Mystery Me, Florida Man, and then Astrid won the whole thing. But yeah, they just kind of ran with it from there. And then I think once I disappeared around that year, then they were like, oh, she must have made it on, but literally nothing. She did it.
Oh my God.
It was a stunt, and I gotta say it was kind of a brilliant stunt. It definitely put you on my radar more than anything, probably.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was the Bible girl tactic. Like, yeah, I'm the Bible girl of Dragula. I live.
Oh my God. So now looking back, because you obviously got to live through what it was like to film with season 6, is there another season that you think it would have been fun to get cast on and compete with?
Oh my goodness. I think the ones I applied for, I would probably, I think 4, just because I know the experience of like the new soundstage and everything like that. But I think 4, I think the cast would be interesting. And then also like the set and everything, I think it'd be cool to see what that side of it would look like as well.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah,
I mean, which side do you think you would have fallen on as far as all the arguments from season 4?
Oh my God. I don't know, but real tea, I just wanted to be in the cauldron for the tear me out. Yeah. Fucking Zavaleta. I'm like, that was insane. I needed to experience that in person.
Oh my
No,
god, it was so
totally.
much longer too. It went on for so much longer than what we ended up showing, but it was pretty
I bet.
hysterical.
God, I know, yeah. It seemed like Jay Jolie had a good handle on it at first, and then I was like, oh no, she's going off the rails too. Like, what is happening?
That's why we love her. So when you were getting to the finale, how confident were you feeling, like, the days leading up to it?
I think honestly, just for me, I do think track record is important. So I think going into it, I was like, oh, I just won the challenge right before the finale. And then also I have the most wins and the least amount of extermination out of everyone. So I was like, you know what? I feel pretty good. And I know what I'm about to bring too for the, Glamour, Filth, and Horror. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do pretty well in this.
Good, okay.
You cocky bitch. No, I'm only kidding.
Someone had to do it, okay?
I'm only kidding. You had every right to feel as confident as you did because, like you said, the proof is in the track record.
Thank you. And I just also too, I noticed I had the most fun when I was there, when I literally just let go and was like, you know what, I just have to just be myself, have a good time, because if you don't, everyone's gonna read that and nobody else is gonna be having a good time either. So you just have to have fun in any aspect of your life.
Oh my
Even
God.
if it's something boring, have fun with it.
I mean, say it again. Honestly, that was something that Drac and I talked about, and you saw some of it in the the deliberations with just the two of us. Everything we threw at you, you did it with like a smile and a giggle. Like you were just ready, and it was so clear. So I mean, everybody can feel that, and it's nothing but good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I will say I was very surprised, Drac, when it was the finale deliberation between y'all two, and you said that you were charmed by me the whole time. I was like, oh my god, I had no idea. It's like this was like the most surprising thing for me.
Well, I
I love
usually mask everything because you got to be careful what you say to the cast, because they're really looking to us for any kind of signal. Are they doing well? Are they doing bad? Or so we have to be really neutral. So we don't give a lot in terms of that. But as a director directing you, it was always so pleasant to work with you. And no matter what we threw at you, you always went on stage with a smile and everyone's eyes were attracted to you. So that's just like the perfect kind of person you want to work with as a director.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I definitely, when we were there, I was like, damn, I don't know if Drac hates me or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
really?
Literally, I was like, damn.
Girl,
but okay, one,
don't
I had a
take it-
feeling that you were at least like me a little bit. So I was like, okay. But Drac, I was like, damn, I didn't think you were mean or anything. I was just like, oh my goodness. If I get one laugh out of Drac, I know I at least won Drac over. I did one time. So I was like, okay, I feel good about this. But I wasn't entirely sure.
Totally.
This is kind of a tricky question, but let's focus on the challenges that you actually won. If you hadn't won those 3 challenges, who do you think should have in your place?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, so for episode 1, Horror Icons Reimagined, after looking back, I would say that's the floor show I've watched the most. And oh my goodness, Majesty stole the show on that one for me. The look was phenomenal, the gag that she had and the wheelchair and everything. She absolutely killed it. So if it wasn't me, I would definitely give it to Majesty. So good. Oh my god. And then I would say for Holiday of Horrors, ooh, okay. This is one of my favorite looks from the season in general, but it was actually Vivi the Forces, I guess 4th of July, Pig, Uncle
Yeah.
Sam, if you will. Yeah, that one, I really love that look. And all the gags she had, like the little spit roast on her on her grill in front of her. The boots were sickening too. I love those boots. Yeah, and just the whole look was really cool. So I would probably give it to Vivi on that one.
Okay.
And then Dead by Daylight, I mean, I was gonna win that one anyways. No, if it wasn't me, Definitely Yuri. I was very surprised because when I saw the dress, I was like, I'm not sure. But when she acted the hell out of it, it's exactly what y'all said. She totally, like, I fully believed it and was entranced with this mud witch that she had. So yeah, I'd probably say Yuri was like the closest on that one for me, even though she went home. But.
Gotcha. And now let's just say parallel universe, you didn't win the season. Who do you think would have?
Oh, I mean, okay, I love all my finalist babies. I love Auntie and I love Gray. But I mean, as a viewer and as a longtime fan of the show, I would probably have to give it to Gray Matter. He is extremely phenomenal, and I think that even with him not having like a strong drag background, like he was able to bring himself to the stage, being like a haunt actor and everything. And I think that he really like turned out this season. It's very much so for me giving like Victoria Elizabeth Black possibly coming back, Universal Studios and all that. I'm like, it's very bad.
I love it. You know the brand inside and out. I love it. You sound like one of us. Yeah.
yeah, she's, you know, Gray very much so gives that to me. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do the sequel of that. Why not?
I was so surprised because Gray had these incredible looks, and typically when you find someone whose looks are that elevated, the performance is not there, and you're like, okay, like they spent their skill points on costume creation, not performance. But as soon as we did that first lip sync for the doll challenge, I was like, oh. Okay, wait a minute.
Right.
This is new. He could definitely do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you said skill points. I was like, that's so like video game. I love. But yeah, I fully agree. Watching back on that one too, like some of the movements he did to I Love Hollywood, I would have never guessed him to do that. But
yeah, totally.
So phenomenal.
I guess even in Meet Our Monsters, he moved really well too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift over to your other finalist sister and focus on Auntie for a minute, because it seemed like through the season we saw that you guys, you know, clashed at times, or at the very least saw each other as like serious competition. But I'm curious, what, if anything, is your relationship like now?
Oh my God, I love Auntie so much. Like yes, we did get in like fights or tiffs or whatever on the show, but like, you know, I feel like that's just sometimes she can be a little grating. Love Auntie, but she could do it. But I will say I love her. I even just called her randomly the other day and just was like, I just missed you so much, Auntie. I wish, like, I tell this to a lot of the competitors too, is I'm just like, I wish we had a little drag commune and we all just lived there and worked on little costumes together and everything. Like, it'd be so cute. But yeah, Auntie is just like, I actually, when I went to Rockford, she flew me out there and everything, and I stayed with her for a week. And we were just like hanging out, going to this little apple orchard, petting goats, and just like, she's so sweet. So
that's
cute.
so fun.
She's also a little bitch too, but I love her. That's why I love her.
So I have a question for you that I've just been curious. So like when the episodes come out, you know, you all are seeing it for the first time too, and probably half the stuff you don't remember. But what none of you know is what you said in your confessionals. So I'm sure you were all getting along after the season, but was it awkward when people would see confessionals where you say something about them or vice versa?
Oh my goodness. Sometimes I would feel like, damn, they're probably gonna be mad at me, but I usually like text them as it's happening and be like, hey girl, sorry for saying that. Like, hi with the Shrek comment. I was like, I'm sorry. Or like about her being the quote unquote best makeup artist of the season. I was like, I'm sorry, girl, I love you. But yeah, I could tell some of the sisters like maybe got like took it a little more to heart with certain things, but it's like, you know, when we're there, it's like, that's part of the job, you know, like we have to talk shit. We're making TV, we're making entertainment. So, and you know, if you're thinking it, someone back home is probably thinking it too. They'd love to hear it as well.
Well, that's the thing. When you all actually say what the audience is thinking, it's validating to them, and it also makes it seem like, okay, we're not all crazy, like we're seeing the same show. So
exactly, yeah. Which that's like going back to Auntie too. I feel like that's one reason why, like, yes, she was a bitch, but like she would say things that like most everyone was thinking, but was like too afraid to say. Like she truly was not afraid to say it. Yeah.
Oh, totally agree.
Yeah, which if that makes her a bitch, so be it.
Right. No, I mean, look, we always encourage everyone. So we're like, you know, say what you really think, be honest. And, you know, even if you wouldn't normally walk into a room and say, you know what, I like this or I hate that. I'm like, well, on this show, that is what you have to do.
Oh yeah. No, it can be a little awkward making TV, but it's like the most fun experience I ever had. Like I feel like for me, sometimes it's awkward as like walk in the room and I'm like, hey, so my uncle just died or something like that. You know? It's like
Right.
you wouldn't normally do that, but it's like you also want to invite people in and like let them know about yourself and like maybe things you're going through that might affect like your standings in the competition or like your mindset going in the competition too.
Well, that's interesting because I wanted to transition to moving on to the actual filming of the show. And looking back to the musical episode, right?
Yes.
Do you think your team, the Snakes, should have stuck to your guns and put Auntie and Gray up for extermination, or are you still happy with your decision?
Okay, let me say this. If we were trying to be strategic assholes and like not play the game fair, then yeah, it would have been great TV to put up Auntie and Gray for sure. However, I think it's just when you think of the grand scheme of things and you don't want you want it to be a fair competition. And if we're looking at it, I mean, Gray did a phenomenal job in the musical. Auntie and Vivi did the worst, so of course they should have been up. So I feel confident about my decision in that, but also it's like if we wanted to make even more crazy, chaotic TV, then yeah, we should have put up Gray and Auntie.
I hope that people in the future will, like future cast members, if they get the opportunity, I hope they do it because all those games and all that stuff we did, we were trying to figure out because sometimes on the show you'll have people who have really strong looks and then you'll have people whose looks aren't as strong but they have big personalities and they're great performers, and we're like, how can we sort of level the playing field to where it's not like, if you want to win Dragula, just be silent and sit in the corner and do every outfit at a 10. Like we wanted to kind of change that vibe, and I feel like we were successful in that this season.
Yeah, was that something that you were surprised about at all? Because it's definitely something that Drac and I pushed. Like, I think it was clear to the cast that we supported this idea of, quotes, playing the game. So how did you feel when that kept getting reiterated?
It was very different because, like, you think, like, especially when you're back home, like, you think, oh, this is how it's going to be when I go to film Dragula or whatever, but you have no idea once you get there. And as far as, like, the game aspect of it, like, I definitely appreciated it because I do I get really competitive even if I play like Monopoly and stuff. So I'm like, if we're gonna do that, but like with the $100,000 on the line, let's fucking do it. A lot more fun to film and everything too. So I love that there was like more twists with it, and hopefully season 7 or whoever, if they want to be more evil than the snake pit, then let's see it. I would love to see it.
All right, so one thing I want to ask you about is Majesty and them leaving the show when they did, because it seemed like you two were kind of growing close during filming, and I was curious if you think in retrospect they should have stayed, and do you think that they wish that they had stayed now that they watched it back?
Well, okay, here's the tea. Because I love Majesty too. And because we both live in Portland, but I didn't really connect with her until we were filming.
Mhm.
We just like never really crossed paths and everything. But I love her and she's so sweet, so amazing. She's even hosted like 2 shows that I've been in and everything since filming and all that.
Mhm.
And I actually asked her about this. I was like, how do you think you would have done if you didn't drop out of the competition? And she was like, honestly, girl, I'm glad that I did, because if they did me no auto-tune on that stage, it would have ruined my music career. So I was like, yeah, I think it was probably for the best. It was, the Lord looking out for you or whoever. But yeah, I think it could totally change the whole trajectory of the competition, though. Like,
I
if
do
she
too.
didn't leave, who would have left, and then how much further would you have made it and all that. So who knows?
Yeah, it's crazy because I also think about if Gray or Auntie had went home on the musical episode, how that would have potentially changed. You just never know, and we don't know because we want it to be unpredictable and exciting for the audience, and so it has to be unpredictable for us as the creators too to actually live up to that. So yeah, it could have been a different game. You never know.
Yeah, because I think back to even, for example, the previous week, Gray was in the bottom for the Ghost Train Challenge, and it did
Right.
seem like it really affected him. So if he
Mhm.
was in the bottom again, like a second week in a row, I think it probably would have been him just on the spot. And y'all immediately were like, okay, and we're lip syncing now. Like it might have been too much. I love that moment. It was so funny. But I think it probably would have been great, but I don't know. Obviously, I'm not one of the judges or whatever. But and then I'm like, damn, we would have missed out on so many great looks. So I'm glad.
Yeah.
I honestly, as a viewer, I'm glad that we didn't do that.
I like getting this insight from your perspective on the other competitors. And I have a question. Do you think that the audience got the wrong impression of anyone? Like the way they've been received since the show has aired, compared to what you know of them because you know them personally?
Oh my goodness. I will say this because everyone always asks me, is like, do you talk to your fellow competitors? Like, do you hate any of them? And I'm like, no, I love all of them. And I don't talk to them all like as much as I want to, but it's just so busy. But I love every single one of them. I think the number one person that got a bad rap and definitely shouldn't have was Desiree Dick. She is absolutely the sweetest, like one of the sweetest drag performers I ever met. Also, I wish that the audience could have seen like how amazing of a performer she is. I've seen her perform live twice now, like once in DC and once at the Austin Drag Festival, and she is absolutely chaotic in the best way possible. It is phenomenal and just the biggest sweetheart that you could ever ask for. And I feel like you do, like, she is crazy and will throw a chicken at someone, absolutely. But also she will also, like give you a hug if you're crying and be like such the sweetest person, and just like absolutely love her.
Yeah,
and she's one of my favorites of the cast.
I think you're right about that sweet side of her, because we saw that too, but she never brought that to the cameras, right? So usually when she came in, she was being spicy, and I don't think the audience really got a fair idea of who she was, because she would act like that at lunch or whatever, but not necessarily when you all were in the lab. But I agree with you, and I think so. Do you think the audience sort of got a distorted view of who she is?
I definitely do, because I feel like maybe from Desiree's perspective, maybe she was like, oh, we're making TV, this is what they expect of me and everything. And it's like,
right.
What I was saying about myself, like I felt the most assured and validated when I was just being myself. And yes, like that is a part of who she is, and she knows like that's what's great and what the cameras will want to see, but we also want to see her being a sweetheart, and I don't think she showed that too much. So I would have loved to see more of that. I always see that in person with her, and she's just phenomenal. I love her.
I love her too. I think she made a big impact. She was there for a couple episodes, but I think her impact was definitely felt.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
I
love her.
One of the most iconic moments from the show, honestly.
Like ever. Like that was one of my favorite Cauldron moments ever. It was so good.
And that floor show was kind of a work of art, despite it was, the sloppiness and chaoticness, the chaos of it. I think it still was really interesting.
I honestly, that entire episode, like start to finish, like I felt it in the room too. I was like, oh, this is like magical. And you also like reassured us too, letting us know like, wow, this is like one of the best floor shows like ever. And it was just like Holiday of Horror is such a genius concept too. So I'm glad that I got to be a part of that, and everyone like absolutely brought it. It was so cool.
You did. I thought that floor show across the board was fantastic.
Well, look, I think we're being a little too nice, so I want to ask something a little shady. You've said clearly that, Desiree is someone that you really love on the cast and you're close with and just support and have seen live. And of course, we do love to hear that. But I'm curious, who would you say you have maybe the weakest connection with, or, who you get along with the least?
Okay. I love this question. Well, okay, I will say the person I probably talk to the least is Yuri, and I've tried to talk to her a couple times, like when we like first got back from filming and everything, and it was just, I think she was just so in her head from the experience, so I don't count it against her by any means. I think she just is such an introverted little baby, but like, I wanted to connect with her and everything. And then eventually when she was like more free, I was like, well, bitch, I'm working 8 days a week, like in a row now, so I don't have enough time to talk to you now. So out of everyone, I probably talked to her the least.
You're like too famous. Sorry. Maybe you had your chance.
Yeah. No. But I do want to reconnect with her eventually. It's just like, she got New Zealand, all that, but I do have my passport now to be like, hey girl, fly me down, let's do it.
That sounds fun.
Right.
I think Yuri ended up coming off as sort of the sweetheart of the season. Ultimately, I hope they're happy with the way they performed in the end.
Oh, of course. And I will say too, the best death scene of all time for me. Like that was so whoever came up with that,
I
oh
think
my
it
god,
was
your
Drac.
brain.
It was me.
It was iconic. Like I hope you felt the love from that because like that was truly one of the best death scenes like of Dragula history. I loved it.
Yeah, we just kept pushing it. I mean, that's what, like, you know, doing the end of filming, we're also crazy. It's like we just kept pushing it, and I was like, and then you're gonna get in the van, and they're like, okay, cool, we can do that. I'm like, no. Then you're gonna drive all the way to the airport. Get out.
We were done.
Yeah, I was like, you are following her to the gate.
Right. What was it? I got my whole life ahead of me. Boom. I loved that. That was so funny.
After you took the crown, did you hear from your sisters and brothers on the cast, or did you hear from any previous winners, or like who reached out to you? I'm curious.
Oh, I definitely got like the night of Gray and Auntie. We have the season 6's finalist chat, and we did talk in there a little bit, and I was like, "Hey, love y'all," and they did write back to me and everything too. But yeah, previous winners, I didn't, unless it was in my DMs, and honestly, my DM just got a little crazy, so I might have missed some. I will say, my dad reached out to me too, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. 'Cause I don't really have
Really?
Oh wow.
yeah, I don't have like a super close relationship to him, and I was like, I didn't even know that you were like watching it or anything. But I just wrote him back and was like, oh, thank you so much. It was just kind of like shady the way he wrote it. I was like, is he like being passive aggressive? Because he said, oh, I'm always the last to know, but congratulations on winning Dragula or whatever. I was like, this is crazy. I'm done, but thank you so much.
Don't take that to heart. Don't take that's his
No.
stuff, not yours.
I know it's too much, but I will say, like most of the messages I've been getting have been super positive, and just everyone's been super sweet. I even I got to see Gray like the week of winning because I was in the Austin Drag Festival. He lives in Houston, so he just like drove, and yeah, it was so lovely, and it was like so cool, like seeing all the fans in Texas just like blowing up. I was like, oh my god, the finalists, the Dragula, except for Auntie, but yeah, it was just so much fun.
I love that.
Me too.
That was the craziest week of my life. Oh my goodness. It was just like nonstop going places. It was insane.
Well, speaking of the other stars of Dragula, I have a question for you, which is, if we were to do a second season of Titans, who would you most like to see come on from your season and then also other seasons?
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I think top of the list, I mean, of course, Gray Matter. I definitely think that he should come back for Titans. Y'all might have to pull some arms, legs, and teeth to get him to do it, but do whatever you have to. I think I'm a shoe in for it. I definitely would love to see Pi too, not just because she's my alliance sister, but I think she's like so talented, and I'd love to see her
Mm-hmm.
come more into her own. Past contestants, my absolute favorite Dragula contestant of all time is Louisiana Purchase. I love her so much, and I would love to see her again. She is amazing. Who else? I can't think off top. Disasterina. Oh my goodness. Please bring Disasterina back. She's crazy.
What do you think of Abora getting a second chance?
Honestly, I'm done with Abora. We're done. It's a wrap. Also, too, she got a little bit of her light shown on season 6 with Majesty doing a couple of her looks. So I'm like, you know what? It's fine. We're done with Abora. I feel like after that love triangle stuff, I'm like, you had your moments, sweetie.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't a very popular. And I feel like it could have got cleared up so quickly, but it was like, we don't want to talk about it. But it's like every time you say you don't want to talk about something on camera, everybody wants you to talk about it. So
I know, and you're literally talking about it. Let's just be done.
Yeah. You can't hide from the camera. That's the thing. I'm like, if you have something going on, just throw it all out in the middle of the room immediately, because someone's going to bring it up.
Oh yeah, and you can tell too when someone's like trying to hold on to something. It's like when you ask someone if they're mad, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not mad," but you can like totally tell they are. It's very that. I'm not mad. Yes, problem.
So I have a question, since you lived with the cast through filming a whole season, and every season's different. But my question for you is, sometimes there's certain cast members that'll come and you can tell that they sort of immediately are defensive, and that they're sort of looking around at production and the set and everything, and sort of like trying to figure out how it's going to go down, or are they being manipulated, or this or that. Why do you think some people do that? Because you have insight from being there. Because to me, I'm like, you've already signed a contract. You're already in the building. It's too late. Like, just go with it, right? Like, what do you think of that?
I think honestly, maybe just previous experiences that people have had and being in different like institutions and stuff. Maybe like they're like traumatized from the past or
Uh-huh.
something. That's what my guess would be. But at the end of the day, we're stuck in this experience and we're like trying to have a good time with it. So I'm like, you know what? Like, if you are gonna throw some shenanigans our way, that's just part of the experience, and we just have to embrace it and have a good time with it.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I think maybe it's just like past experiences and like different institutions people have been part
I
of.
can see
But
that.
I don't know. I didn't have that problem though.
No, you didn't. But that's the thing. That's why I thought it was really interesting that you were able to kind of, hit tens across the board, because a lot of times people will be reserved or quiet, when they start to get into the finals, and you didn't. You sort of were still willing to share your opinion and everything, which I think was great for us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't know, the whole experience was just like, as a person too, I just felt so validated and just like, because with the relationship that I like talked about on the show and everything, like I wasn't allowed to like really like be myself or like be able to like, fully be Asia or Nicole. And like being there and have like being able to be myself fully was like, and be rewarded for it was like the most validating experience. So I'm sorry that like not everyone got to have that experience, but I was like, bitch, this is lovely. This is great compared to what I've been dealing with. So I loved
Oh
it.
my God. So, oh, that's another question I have for you. How is your mom handling your win at this point?
Oh my god. She's gonna gag that you even said this. I know she's listening. So hi mom, love you so much. But yeah, we're still both in disbelief. We're like we didn't think like it wasn't gonna happen, but it's just crazy that it did actually happen. We're like, oh my god, we
Yeah,
won.
yeah.
It's we,
Well,
because like
let me
it's really
I love that you love your mom so much and that she loves you and that you guys have that close relationship. I've got a memory that I love to share. When we were walking into the venue for the Halloween ball and you guys were rehearsing, I had never met your mom, and I didn't know I think that was Gray's partner too. Never met
yeah.
either of them. So I'm like, who is this girl and this kid? Like, who are these people? And then it turned out to be your mom. I was like, I was shocked, and in a
I
good way.
thought
She
she
looked
was like a
fabulous.
choreographer. I was like, oh, okay, there's like a choreographer helping them get their show together. I didn't get it until later. Like,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay, now I know who that is.
Yeah, no, she was trying to play one that day for sure. She's like, okay, no, we're gonna do this in 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. No. I will say too, thank you, Swan, for saying that, because I know she's always like self-conscious, but I'm like, no, you look so good, mom, you're trifling. Also, one thing that you said too on a previous podcast was that you love snail mucin. And ever
Oh
since you
yeah.
said that, I've been obsessed. Oh my goodness. And I actually got her some too. And I'm like, this is lovely. I'm like, the skin is
Yeah.
dewy, it's glowing. I love. So
Oh,
you're
I love
partially to
that.
thank
I
for
love
that as
that.
well.
You're so welcome.
All right, so let's look at the future. So now that you've won the title of the world's next drag super monster, what do you want to do? Do you know what you want to do next?
Yeah, that's everyone keeps asking me that, and honestly, there's like a couple ideas that I definitely have. I think more like downtime, like fun, but it would still be work. Is like I definitely want to stream, like playing video games and stuff. I think that would be
Mhm.
super fun, very on brand for me too. So I'll probably do that once, whenever the Dead by Daylight skin
I,
comes out for that. I think
I
that'll be
saw your
fun.
concept art too,
Oh my
by the way. It
god.
looks really good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I think it'll be super fun, and I might. I'm thinking of dressing up as one of the other characters that I wasn't, so I think it'll be fun. That's one like little thing. I really, in my mind, have always wanted to make like 2 different films. I want to make like a campy John Waters like horror type of film, and just have it be like a shorter like piloty type of thing, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour. And then I also want to make like kind of a artsy, fashiony film as well, and have other artists that I appreciate, I like be a part of that as well. I love traveling and I love performing. I would say I was probably like one of the most booked from this season, and I feel very like blessed to be a part of that. And I love doing that, meeting all the people and everything. I just also want to make things that like will last in like the drag ether, and not just be like, oh, it was just there for the night. You know, like I want it to be like, oh, I look back at my career and be like, oh, I have this movie, and like maybe I worked with certain people and everything. And yeah, I just want to keep reaching out. I would love to be in certain like music videos and stuff too. Like I would love to do like anything like that. Just more like media opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like the first year after you win the show, a lot of times, first of all, you're booked, so you want to go out and make money while you can and take all the booking, and then you go on tour for a while, and the whole first year kind of gets eaten up fast.
For sure. Yeah, I'm like, I am feeling that a little bit, and I'm like, I have these next 2 weeks of not like having to travel a lot. So I'm like, okay, let me take these 2 weeks, work on costumes that I want to work on, and then also like think of the future and like more of what I want to do. So that way, beginning of the year before like touring and everything, like some more, like I really want to like have in mind like what exactly I want to do. Who am I reaching out to? Whose shins do I have to bust? Like, you know, just anything that I want to do, like get it all together. So that's like kind of my game plan.
I see you in a role in a John Waters type horror movie. I think that is such a fun fit, and I believe it'll happen.
I would love, like, so yeah, if there's anyone out there, John Waters, yourself even, let's get it together. Let's do it.
Well, stay tuned. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We love you. We're really proud of what you've done. I just can't wait to see what you do next. And yeah, congratulations.
Thank you so much. And like, I still can't believe it. And I said it like 8,000 times, but I really can't. I'm just like, I can't thank y'all enough for not only having me be a part of the experience, but also like be a voice for your brand, and also just like being a part of Dragula history forever. It's fucking insane. And like, y'all truly are my mothers, besides Miss Layla as well. Like, I love y'all so much, and y'all were always super sweet to me during filming and everything. So
You're
thank
so
you
welcome.
so much.
You are so welcome. It was our pleasure, and you earned all of that. So it was an easy decision for us to make.
Sorry, Ray and Auntie. No, I'm just kidding.
We love Great Auntie too. All right. So as for our listeners, stay tuned. We will be right back after this commercial break.
Welcome back, Uglies. It's time to answer your listener mail. Now remember, if you have a question about the show or any of our projects, feel free to email them to us at creatures@bouletbrothersdragula.com, and we'll do our best to answer them during the show. And feel free to send us some juicy questions. We can't answer questions regarding production secrets, but we are more than willing to answer controversial questions should you have them.
Sherry from Louisville says, I've been rewatching the early seasons, and girl, there are some drama queens. I know you've said that you like the drama, at least to some extent, and that you give grace for the amount of pressure the cast is under and reward contestants for growth throughout the show. But some of the conflicts have me wondering just how much do you take the cast's personality and behavior into consideration? Have you ever exterminated someone based on how they act on the show?
I don't think we've ever exterminated someone, no matter how crazy or flying off the handle they were. Because I don't think we could do that to the audience, right? Like if they're seeing what the drag is and they're seeing these competitors show up for the challenges, I can't say, oh, well, they're like, you know, a secret bitch and I want to get rid of them, because it just wouldn't make any sense.
Right. No, I agree with that. I mean, honestly, if someone had outrageous reactions, more than likely that would make us want to keep them, right?
It's true.
Yeah, unless they're the type of person who sort of melts down over production and they're they can't handle the reality TV of it. There is one contestant that comes to mind that I feel like had that experience. And yes, I was like, you know what? It's time for them to go. So if someone becomes sort of unworkable or unstable, sure, we would try to say it's their time to go. But honestly, it's always their looks is what determines who goes and who stays. I think that's pretty obvious from watching the show.
Yeah, I mean, also kind of like in addition to, there is no such thing as too extreme of drag, and there is no such thing as too extreme of a personality on Dragula. Like Drac said, some people will get celebrated and maybe even secure their position if they're outrageous or wild in the right way. So you never know.
Being outrageous towards production is a no-no, though. Like if
Yeah.
you become, these people are all here every day sweating and killing themselves to make you famous. So I have zero tolerance for people that do not respect the production team. So Sherry also says, P.S. I don't meet a lot of other Sherrys. So every time you say my name on the podcast or show, I feel like I'm in trouble with my parents or something. Tell me who the fuck is Sherry and why do you always seem mad at her? So,
Sherry.
Sherry is the name of one of our pet chickens. So we used to have this pet chicken named Sherry, and we had 6 of them. And Sherry was unusual, I guess I'll say.
That is so sweet and generous of you. She was, I'll say she was kind of dim, right? Like of the girls of our little squad of hens, she was the one that would do like the goofiest, dumbest, weirdest stuff.
So I would often go outside and be like, Sherry, what the fuck are you doing? And she'd be doing something weird. Like the time Swan had this giant cactus. Like, it probably took it 20 years to grow this big. Sherry went to the base of the cactus and pecked out a hole about the size of a coffee cup saucer and was looking through it at us when we opened the door. And that's the kind of stuff that she would do. And she fell, and I know she was just an odd bird, I guess I would say.
She was an odd bird. How perfect. So we took that name and now we apply it to anyone who needs to, I don't know, be reminded like, hey, don't be dumb, or what the hell are you doing? Or why are you acting out of turn, Sherry?
Exactly. Exactly. I think you nailed it.
Yeah. Eva from Pittsburgh asks, my partner and I love the spooky ambiance of your Halloween House Party album for the Halloween season. Any chance we'll be getting a Haunted Holiday or Christmas Krampus album anytime soon?
I love that you asked that question because, Eva, that is something I actually want to do. So we will see if we are able to manifest it. This year is pretty busy, but I think we can pull it off.
Maybe for Christmas season or holiday season 2025.
Yes. Carrie asks, I heard your call to build community in real life during these post-election times, but that's a hard one for me. The fact that it seems so hard tells me that most people are probably like me and don't do it all that much. But I have an idea. Over recent years, I have become obsessed with horror. I think I'm at a point where I could be okay hosting a horror film watch party, but I don't really know where to start. How can I turn my film collection and passion into a way to build a horror community? I feel like I'm onto something, but the vision isn't clear yet. I'm asking you because you asked us to build community, but I need some more guidance.
Interesting. What's your response to that, Drac?
My response to that is I think they're talking about physical distance with other people that watch horror movies. I think they're more in a rural area or something like that. And what I would say to that is you can do it online. You don't have to just do it in your community at home. Building community can be outside of your walls because there's people in all sorts of rural areas that could probably use another queer person to talk to. So, you could go through Twitch, or there's so many different ways you could do it, but I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, I agree. And I support it. And I think you're right, Drac. It's one of the ways that social media, in my opinion, an absolute evil in the world today, could be used for the forces of good, right? It would connect people that may not be physically close enough to get together, but could still exchange, and you'll feel connected to people and not isolated.
I mean, as someone who, in my youth, in order to find strange content, because there was no internet, I would have to drive like 2.5 hours to this weird video store to rent any sort of obscure horror movies or John Waters movies or anything like that. And it became a ritual for me and my friends. We would make little journeys out there and rent like 5 or 6 movies every other week or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, being online now gives you so much access to building community faster in that way. So I would encourage you to do it.
Easy asks, with the increasing presence of international competitors on the show, are they given an opportunity to share cultural touchstones with the judges that might not be immediately obvious to those outside of their cultures, a la Hoso's Ghost Ship Glamour or Desiree Dick's Killer Doll? I'd say the power lies within the hands of the competitors.
Right.
They do have the opportunity to telegraph some of these behind the scene inspirations or cultural references that may not be apparent to everybody. A lot of that happens during the creative section, which you'll see like basically right before the floor show, right before Drac and I comes out. They talk about how they make their looks or what the inspiration might be. And we're informed. Like, I wouldn't say Drac and I are 100% in the dark about what we're about to see. Like, they do inform us, but we're judging them on standards that we created, right? So that should just be kept in mind, even if the inspirations are obscure or from around the world. Like, they still have to make sense in front of the eyes of the 4 judges that sit before them,
or in front of the audience, right? Because it's fine if you go on an American based or at least English speaking territories competition show. Well, you got to think about who your audience is and what you're projecting them. And I think it's great. I absolutely encourage people to instill their cultural references into their art, but it also still needs to look good. And I'm going to say it, I definitely think there's a couple of times where people try to use that card because their look was terrible.
Ouch.
I do think that. Do you think that?
I do.
It's bullshit. It's like a stretch. It's to be like, well, they didn't know that it wouldn't have mattered, Sherry. It wouldn't have mattered because the look was bad. Gag Daddy, wow, why is that one of my questions? Asks, I have 2 questions. The first being, can we please talk about Grey's last look of the season for the winner announcement? Yes, I think it was absolutely gorgeous, and it was a fan favorite with our watch party. I will say, if you were potentially going to get a crown put on your head, don't you think you should wear something that the crown could go on your head? That's my question.
That's a little wild. Yes, I thought the look was totally iconic. It was so deadly good. You could almost say it could have been the Glamour or something, or the horror. But the truth is, all of Grey's looks in the finale were also great. So it was just sort of a cherry on top of the whole Filth, horror, and glamour cake that Grey was serving that night.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, here's the thing. We're in production 1 million hours, especially at the end of the season. I'm just like, oh, please get, and we're filming the crowning. It's like, I can see the exit door, like a week or 2 away. And when I come out on stage and I see the finalists and one of them has like a giant headpiece or something on, I'm like, God damn it. Like, what? How am I supposed? That's going to be a struggle for me to put this crown on their head without it falling on the ground or looking stupid. So I have my own personal feelings about that.
The second question from Gag Daddy is, so everyone is asking about Titans, but I'm more curious if you would ever do a winner's Titans where it's only first place contestants. If this isn't something you would do, is there someone who you might consider to be the ultimate winner?
I would say the ultimate winner is Victoria, because Victoria won the Boulet Brothers Dragula Titans, and Titans was a celebration of the best of the best at the time. Celebration of the best of the best at the time. What do you think of that, Swan?
I don't know if I would agree with you, even though I think Victoria is incredible, but I think a lot of our winners are absolutely incredible. I wouldn't take this idea of like an all winners challenge off the table. But I don't think it's time for that, or even time to play with that idea or put out feelers. I think we're on the right track as far as momentum and what should be coming next.
The thing about a winter season is, I'm just going to put it out there, I think it could potentially be boring. And the reason why is because a lot of the people who have won the show, at least before season 6, you know, they're not into the reality TV of it, right? And that's sort of the devil's due that you have to pay. People watch the show not because they love the drag and the crafting and everything, but if it was only that, this show would not still be here. I am 100% sure of that. So I don't know. And then also they might not want to go home like they did that on Drag Race, where they had an all winter season and they didn't send anybody home. And I heard it was extremely boring. No offense, but that's just what I heard sort of across the board. So it just have to be the right format. But I would love to bring them all back for something. I just don't know exactly what it would look like. Maybe like a resurrection or something. I don't know. But, you know, call it something different.
Well, that's it for this episode of Creatures of the Night. We'll see you next week, and remember to watch the Boulet Brothers Dragula Season 1, at least the first 3 episodes, in preparation for our recap coming soon. Until next time, Uglies.
Goodbye.
The Boulet Brothers Creatures of the Night is hosted and produced by Dracmorda and Swantula Boulet, along with co-host Ian DeVogler, with music by Neuron Spector.